The Audi Group has reported their profit for Q3 and it has crashed by 91%. 91%. This is one of the worst quarters in the history of the Audi Motor Company. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Sam Evans. Great to have you with us. You're watching the Electric Viking. I just want to say a big thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the channel. Hoping to hit 250,000 subscribers this year. So every one of you, really appreciate your support. And the main purpose for this channel is to support renewable energy, to support electrification. Even if I say something critical about a particular battery chemistry or a particular electric car, I have to do that. They've got to be objective. So even though you might feel personally offended because I said, for example, the BYD Blade battery is no longer state of the art, it's good, but it's just there's alternatives that are much better now. That doesn't mean that I'm against BYD's batteries or BYD or electrification as a whole. It just means I'm trying to report as objectively as I can. Speaking of objectivity, Audi is it's in trouble here. The Audi Group has experienced a really bad third quarter and obviously a rough year. To be honest, it's probably going to look worse before it looks any better, if it ever does look any better. The truth is here that Audi have historically made a lot of money from China and their sales in China are falling off. Now, the Chinese know that future Audi vehicles will be built on SAIC platforms. All right, SAIC is Chinese government state-owned car company, one of the biggest car conglomerates in China, one of the biggest in the world. It has been overtaken by BYD now, but still, they own the MG brand and a bunch of other car brands. They have their own luxury brand called LM Motors, which are significantly cheaper than Audi vehicles. And to be honest, they're technologically more advanced than Audi vehicles. That's the key reason why Audi have gone to SAIC to use their EV platforms in their future cars. So, realistically, the Chinese know this stuff. If you're a consumer, are you going to go and spend more money to buy an Audi, or are you just going to buy an LM Motors vehicle from SAIC themselves? Buy it from the company that's providing them with the parts. I personally think it's just an indicator of where Audi as a brand are heading. Volkswagen's troubles, we know about those. We know what's happening at Volkswagen. They're very, very public. However, there are other issues going on here. Audi, Bentley, and Lamborghini sales were all down 11% so far this year. The three of them together, they are the three premium brands for the company, and they're the cars that historically have big margins, right? But those margins are being eroded. The Audi brand was particularly hit hard. US sales are down 17% to only 139,665. Europe and China sales are down 10% and 8.5% respectively. But keep in mind, some of these sales, you can see here, probably thinking to yourself, well, sales have fallen, but 92% fall in profit. Why? Well, here's the thing. I did report on this earlier in the year. The mainstream media didn't mention this at all, but Audi was selling some of their cars at 50% discount. Now, they weren't the only ones doing this. BMW was doing it as well. 50% discount. So their margins have been slashed. And even though they're selling, a lot of cars still, the sales numbers have dropped, but they're still selling a lot of cars. Because their margins, they've had to pull their prices down to compete. And that means that, as you can see, profits are free falling. Bentley sales were down 27% in September. And yeah, Bentley matters. Bentley make technically a lot of margin on every car they sell. In the past 9 months, the group has delivered 1.25 million vehicles, which is the Audi, Bentley, Lamborghini group. But that's down from 1.4 million this time last year. So sales have fallen by 150,000. You can see why their revenue fell from $55 billion US dollars to $50 billion. So a 10% fall in revenue. You think, I'm sort of seeing these numbers thinking, okay, 10% fall in revenue, not the end of the world, but operating profit has collapsed, right? Operating profit has gone from 5 billion down to 2.28 billion. So what happens if their sales fall a further 10%, which is, it's inevitable. I wouldn't say it's likely. It's unquestionably going to happen. Sales are going to fall more than that. But another 10%, does that mean profit falls another 92% and then they're making basically no profit at all? What happens after that? Sales fall another 10%. Well, I don't know if there's probably not a linear correlation between sales and profits necessarily. But as you can see, only not that big of a fall in sales has resulted in an enormous drop in profits, because just to get those sales, they've had to lower their prices. So $5 billion in profit last year for that quarter, for the third quarter, has gone down to $2.28 billion in profit. These companies, by the way, there's a lot of debt here. They do have to pay off debt. So the other challenge here is the majority of the cars they're selling right now, making them this revenue, are internal combustion. The majority of them are not EVs. What does that mean? I mean, what does that mean when all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but as we move away from internal combustion, will they be a part of this future, this EV future? Well, I don't think they will be in China. At least there'll be such small players in China, they'll be quickly become irrelevant. Other places like Europe, yeah, it's going to be around in Europe, but I think their sales will continue to fall. And one of the key reasons is this. There's not really, like, in the minds of a purchaser, what's the key advantage of, say, buying an Audi or buying, say, an Xpeng or a NIO or, one of many different Chinese EV brands, or even a Tesla, for example. What's the key advantage of an Audi? Well, I don't really think there is one. That's the problem. In the past, the perception was, luxury, you get a different engine, you get a nice big V8 engine if you want that model. It might be a twin turbo 6-cylinder, providing you with this, sports performance. Now you can buy cheap EVs that are faster than the most expensive Audis. So I don't think there's really that key differentiator anymore. Here, having a look at these numbers here, you can see the fall. This quarter, year to date, the first 3 months of this year, 1,251,000 sales versus the first 3 months of last year, 1,400,000 sales. Revenue, you can see, has fallen from 50 million euros to 46 million euros. Operating profit, 4.6 million euros to 2 million euros. So that actually, operating profit has more than halved. Net cash flow, as you can see, is going to be a challenge for them over the coming years. Profit after tax in millions euros, 2.4 million euros profit after taxes. In Q3 alone, though, profit for the group plummeted by 91%. So these numbers, right, don't tell the full story, because in Q3, what has happened? Well, the company had to write off their plant, their factory in Brussels, because no one wanted to buy it. It just didn't work out, right? They wanted to find a buyer, and everyone was like, no, we're not going to buy that. And what that means is they had to write that off. Therefore, they only made $116 million in the third quarter. Now, if they made $2.1 billion in profit for the first 3 months of the year, which is really not much, but if they made 2.1 and then they made 116 million in the third quarter, that means really they made nearly $2 billion in profit in the first half of the year and 116 million in the third quarter. So that shows you what's going on here. They say restructuring expenses due to the reorganization of the Audi Brussels plant. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's just a once-off. Is it really a once-off? What about all the other Audi factories that build internal combustion cars? What about the factories in China that they have, right? Which I'm pretty sure are not going to be around in 5 years' time from now. Audi said they're updating their lineup and have introduced 15 new models in 2024. 15 new models. Surely that's the solution. Just introduce. Why stop at 15? Why not, 150? Just models. Just smash the models out. It's not a great solution because it means every car just costs more to build. I don't see the advantage of having 15 new models. Honestly, if you went to an Audi dealership and you were unsure of what car you wanted to buy, would it be more comforting for you to see 15 new models? This is not just all models. This is just 15 brand new models for the year. So basically, you're walking into an Audi dealership. There's 30 different models. And you've got to make a decision. Which model are you going to buy? Personally, I wouldn't buy anything. I'd walk out of there confused. I'd be like 30 different models of car. What the hell? I don't know 30 different flavors of ice cream. It's hard enough to choose an ice cream flavor when there's 30 different flavors of ice cream. 30 different models of car. I don't see the advantage of that. I think 10 would be more than enough. And it would also mean you would reduce the cost for every one of those that you make. Anyhow, Audi believe that with more models coming and China-specific vehicles, they can turn back time and basically resurrect their sales. I don't think that's very likely. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.